this thing. And so yeah, just a quick part two on this is I would just make a daily kind of journal or whatever when you work on this. And so my daily journal, and this is how I would add a note, is come in here to the top of the part. You can add notes to every specific kind of cut or modification you do to your model. But I'm just going to add a notebook to the overall model, and it'll end up showing up right here in the origin, like right below the origin, I think. So to do that, I'm going to like click the top part I'm in my part file here on my model browser. This one, if you right click here, there's a create note. And this actually just creates a notebook. It looks like a notebook. And this is actually a view window into your browser. And you can add more of these view windows as you go along. But here's the note that's been created. And it's a little clunky. It's kind of like a Word doc or some Google Doc. But I mean, you can resize this thing so I can make my note a little bit bigger. And so I will add like notes daily to this little notebook here. Um, so having just opened it, it's like my first note. It'll keep track of the date that I'm in here, and I might say something just simply like, uh, you know, just something like part size rough in, and I'll maybe put the dimensions of it 2 3/4 wide by 3 inches tall or high. 2 3/4 wide by 3 height by 7 inches long. Something that I did that day, right? And then this is my note. And this little thing, so when I do this now, if I say finish this, it'll jump you back out to here, but you'll have this little note that's living in your space here. I think you can move this a little bit. Like right now, just attach it to this, but I think I can maybe I can move my note. Yeah, I just leave my note like flying around in space. It's a little bit annoying. You could actually hide them, but it shows up as a new little model browser. And that's my first note. And so I just keep this as kind of my notebook. And when I want to add a new note, like say next day I work on some stuff and I want to capture that, um, I could just come in here and add a new note, right? Yes, I think so. Just new right here. New. Is there a new? Let me see. I don't use my notebooks too much, but not an I think it is just considered a new comment. So a new comment in this particular notebook, it's not really a new notebook per se, but a new comment in my notebook.
I clicked on it again and it made a note too.
When you opened it back up in it?
Well, like, right, like,
Oh yeah. And I didn't go, I actually clicked in my little
yeah.
yeah, because otherwise you'll have these maybe two separate notes because you can add a bunch of notes. Why you would do this is maybe this is where you can add some like engineering spec sheets or whatever. Like I think of like engineers maybe in their model browser, they might want to load some because you can load documents into this as well. And so if somebody's like working on your model and there's like some spec sheets that you're referring to, they can be embedded in a notebook like this. It doesn't really export really good. It'll export parts of it, but it really just is kind of like if I think of that model-based design, I can kind of also annotate my thing, and I can also keep an engineering logbook here, which may or may not be handy, but I think it's a good idea to get familiar with. Let's see here. Add a new note to mine. This should be pretty. Oh, oh, I did it, but I didn't want to do it like that. Comment. Oh, maybe I have to pick the place for my comment. That's what it is. Kind of weird to add a comment to your note, but I just kept like one note with a lot of different comments. So I think I was using individual comments in my notebook to kind of log my daily work. So I'll delete this one. I think I can or I can just move this over. This is good. Because it'll keep the date tracking and who you are in it for sure. It's got my username because that's in my, yeah, it's picking me up as the user here. But that was just adding a couple comments. I don't really need, I think I can just delete them from over here. So I only need the one for today. So if I go back to my Cybertruck, this one, and it has its notebook, it's similar, it's just floating around. So here's my notebook as I finished. If I double click on this, it looks like I took some screenshots of this, and because I know you can add other model views and then you could lock that view. So there, I could have, instead of doing screenshots, which I just took screenshots of my model and then I pasted those back in a comment as I just kept track of my design process. But I think you can also create more of these like model view windows. I can look into that. I think it's just this view cube here. And I do believe you can lock them maybe so they are just freeze them is exactly right. So I could have, instead of having to add my imagery here, I could have just added a comment and then next to it add a view, this little view icon here. And then at that stage of my design, I could have froze that view. And that would have been a nice way to manage the view. Because this is just, it's, you know, you think about it, it's like looking through the view window in CAD or something into your model space because this is a live active. As I make adjustments in my model space, if this isn't frozen, it'll continue to just update those changes. But I just kind of daily journaled as I built this thing. So I had like an April 3rd, April 7th, April 8th, the stuff I was doing. Some of the stuff I needed to worry about, like there were a few things that I had to work out and keep track of the weights. I think as I got down closer to the finished design, I needed to really kind of figure out how our slicer worked and what the weights were in Inventor versus how much the weight was from the 3D printed model, which to me it just took a little bit of a check, like, oh, like how much does this ABS plastic weigh? And if I have this many cubic inches, which you can check with the slicer. Like the GrabCAD is loaded, and we'll get once we get some stuff that we're getting closer to print, we'll open up GrabCAD and it'll evaluate how many cubic inches of material is needed, and you can cross check that to how much that weighs per cubic inch. So it's just critical that I get a really good idea that I'm what under 5 ounces, but that I have enough like weight pockets, however I want to attach my weight. That I'm allowing enough like room to grow in weight with weights. So yes. And some people like put pockets back here in their axle area so that they can hide them. It's funny to me. I've watched that video a bunch, but I flipping broke the main rule, which is put your stuff about an inch in front of the back axle. I'm actually the other way, and it could have been one of my detrimental parts here a little bit, but um, that it doesn't. Then I'm yeah. And I definitely didn't have any I definitely didn't have any wheelie lift at all. That was a problem here. But and so for some of my detail work, I just kind of did extrusion cuts that some pretty thin extrusion cuts to actually add some of the details. Once I'd got the kind of angular way that I wanted it, I just came back in and removed some of the material to make some details. Nothing. I try not to be, I probably, I mean, I spent a fair amount of hours on it, but not like I was done quite a bit ahead of the game needing to do it or needing and I was able after I prototyped some stuff I realized I needed a little more rigidity in my axle, so it looks like I added like a fillet contour there to kind of stiffen those up a little bit. um I might have a I might check this dimension. I have these as 0.097. I'll before we get ready to put wheels on, I'll double check what our tolerance is on this hole. I think these worked okay. They were kind of just barely pound in. Plastic is a little bit like wood. You don't get too many attempts before it becomes like a loose axle in that hole, whether it's wood. Like if you had to like pull it in and off. I try not to do that, but I definitely want like an interference fit so that as I put it in, I don't have to. You can glue them in, of course, but because I like to do like he did and bend my axles, I like to be able to rotate those. So I don't really want to glue mine in until I make sure it's like aligned and running, straight and riding the rail just slightly. So I tried to keep the interference fit to where I could still kind of make some adjustments to my wheel clocking, I guess you would say. Yeah. But I journaled this, yeah, and that's my engineering notebook. So that's kind of why I wanted to show that last little bit on the video. That's really all I'm going to cover today, you guys. Just get started, get some ideas, get to chop shop in and then if you need help when we're in here, let me help you if there's some stuff you're trying to do or we can use our can help each other out if there's something that my Cybertruck was easy because it's just all angular cuts. It was my Beetle will be just a little bit trickier, kind of, maybe not too bad. So I'm gonna keep working on mine this afternoon, but you guys are free to do your thing, or you can stay and hang out if you want to. Monday, I'll probably primarily spend time on the screw conveyor. Tuesday, I'll probably split my time up a little bit, but you'll see that I've probably made some progress by then. I'm not just going to sit and wait. I'm going to do some work, mostly on this car, because that's kind of an individual creative thing. And the screw conveyor, I just kind of plan to do it together as far as we can get. Like I really haven't determined the total finish line on the screw conveyor. I'm just going to kind of work on it and get as far as we can, and as a real mechanical drafting job. And this is for fun. Right.